were a great learning for me personally. So right now I feel like I am the wrench in this robots party. Because so far it has been all on robots and AI, but this is DevOps, which is the wrench in the party. So before I get into my presentation, let me introduce myself. So I am Niranjan. I started my career as an open source contributor 23 years ago in DevOps, and I'm still with DevOps. So still we are not bored with each other. Before this, I've been building DevOps platforms, and ReleaseOwl is my DevOps platform for SAP. So since many of you may or may not have heard about ReleaseOwl, I'll just take 1 minute to walk through what ReleaseOwl is about. ReleaseOwl is a BTP application in the first place. We are one of the early BTP applications with native DevOps, built on SAP, built for SAP. We are an ISO certified and SAP certified platform, and we are available on SAP Store. So in terms of the capabilities, be it for the transport management, be it for the MTAR deployments with BTP, the iFlows and value maps, support for CPI, the SAC and DataSphere, ReleaseOwl is on a mission to be the DevOps platform supporting all, whether it is on-prem, whether it is hybrid, whether it is pure cloud, to be able to provide packaging, deployment, compliance, testing for these applications. We also have multiverse, wherein you can deploy with one user story multiple different SAP artifacts, and ReleaseOwl takes care of deploying them to the right destinations. So without further ado, I just will get into the topic. So we have been putting a lot of effort in the recent past in terms of enabling gCTS for customers, and I thought it is good to share some of the experiences, challenges that we have seen. And so before I get into, probably one question that I would like to ask the audience is, how many of you have implemented gCTS in your projects? Okay, then it is 0, then that means this session will be insightful. gCTS has been there as long as CTS has been there. But adoption of gCTS have found a lot of challenges, and that is where we are trying to take gCTS much deeper. So what gCTS brings is, it combines the traditional change and transport system with version control. Now when I say version control, it gives you, especially managing multiple parallel landscapes, multiple different SIT systems. For example, for the same SIT or multiple pre-prod boxes that you have to maintain parallel releases within the same landscape. Version control is a very, very essential thing to have. If you look at any other project, be it a Java project, .NET project, they cannot exist without version control. And SAP for long have not really explored Git and gCTS like how we have today in this audience. Then, so gCTS allows you to branch and merge if you want to really maintain the aspects of feature branches, hotfix branches, maintain isolation. gCTS gives you that. And on top of it, gCTS has good OData and REST services, wherein you can pretty much abstract any Git operation. Git is robust, used across the globe big time in most complex projects. And with the support that gCTS has, you can wrap any Git operation for that matter. So this is something that you are all familiar in terms of an architecture, the dev, QA, pre-prod, prod, and then you have BAU, the business as usual or maintenance, we call it as. So various types of branches that we can see, the feature branches, if you really want to establish a continuous delivery pipeline, feature branches are a great way. But there are challenges with feature branches for gCTS. I will talk about that. Then hotfix branches, this is where for urgent production issues, to be able to take the baseline of your production and then to give a fix and to be able to deliver. Hotfix branches are a great way. Then master branch is your production, always production ready code is production matching code will be in your master branch. And for each of your environments, you can have an environment branch, whether it is QA, staging, prod, you can have your environment branches. So some of the key operations that we use extensively in implementing gCTS is gCTS switch. So the way gCTS is implemented in SAP is you will connect a particular Git branch to an SAP box. So that is how, it's a tight coupling. You attach a branch to an SAP system. And when you use switch, you can make your SAP system point to a different branch. This is especially useful if you want to switch, you have one developer, one dev system, and you want to use it for business as usual. You want to use it for hot fixes, P0, P1 incidents. This switch gives you that capability to when you say switch, the entire object's entire system will move from, let's say it was previously a maintenance, now you want to make it as a hot fix. So it will, if you switch to hot fix branch, entire master state, production state will be maintained in it for you to deliver your hot fix in isolation. The switch is very essential operation. Then there are two things. You have rollback, and then reset. So reset is something, if your local repository, there are a lot of changes that you want to undo, and you want to bring your local repository in line with remote repository, that is when reset is useful. But if you want to go back to a completely previous state in your repository, including your remote repository, that is when rollback is there. I will talk about in which case we use a rollback, in which case we use a switch. Then last is the cherry picking. Because of the hard coupling between a system and a branch, one of the challenges in gCTS is the hard coupling. So what it means is, while you develop all your changes in your project, you cannot commit easily to various feature branches. You have to commit to one dev branch because your project dev is connected to your project SAP development system. So you have to keep pushing your changes from your SAP system into the development branch. But not all of them would want to go into QA. Not all of them would want to go into UAT. Not all of them would want to get into prod. This is where we talk about cherry picking. To be able to pick up the commits, to be able to move those commits as and when which are certified. So this is one view of how do we deliver, how do we have continuous delivery with gCTS. Let's say this is your business as usual, this is your project development. Here there can be multiple projects also based on your go-live strategy. It can be geo-specific go-lives, or there can be multiple different initiatives that run. So you will have, let's say, this is your BAU, is your business as usual, where you deliver probably every 2 weeks you deliver a release. Project is more of determined by your scope and when do you want to release it. So let's say you have 3 commits that you did into release branch using Git cherry picking. Suppose here we have C1, C2, C3 going into this release branch, but when the teams tested, one of them is rejected. So I'm moving them into this shared dev or main dev. All these stories have come deployed into the shared development box. And let's say here one user story is cut down, C3 is rejected. So you can cherry pick those 2 components into your QA branch and deploy. And similarly, whatever is approved in each stage, based on your validations and quality checks, you can move those changes along to various environments. Ideally, this should have been, in a more ideal case, each of these commits should have gone into independent feature branches, but it is very hard to test. You cannot keep changing your DS4 to different branches always, so that is where I still maintained one release branch where all commits go in, and you cherry pick whatever is approved in each stage as a merge and deploy. This is a little bit different. You have been using the transport import, the import queues, and all those things, but this is delegating the entire deployment responsibility into Git. You just say Git pull, and it does deployment. All the conflict resolution, everything happens in the Git layer. Similarly, from a project, let the commits come in, they go here, any conflicts are resolved, and we follow the similar path. As and when a deployment happens to production, you can initiate a merge between the master to your, whether it is a release branch, whether it is a BAU branch, you can initiate a back merge. This will ensure that all your boxes are fully aligned after the production deployment is done. This may look a little bit overwhelming, too many branches, too much, but there are a lot of advantages when you bring in a system like Git. It makes it easy for you to resolve conflicts because there are a lot of tools that you can use to resolve conflicts. Then it also gives you capability to pick up what you need and move what you need. So this is a model that we generally implement from a gCTS standpoint. Now, one thing that is missing in this one is, okay, this is all good project-wise and the business as usual wise, but what if I get a hotfix suddenly that I have to deliver? So hotfix, here I assume that you have an environment that you can use for hotfix. That's what I call hotfix dev. And then we push into the hotfix branch as a Git commit. And then we merge into the pre-prod to a dedicated environment for hotfix testing. And then if it is all good, then we push into master. Once it goes to master, you have established a back sync that anything that goes into production will automatically be synced to all environments. But when we were implementing this for customers, there are a couple of challenges that we observed. Number one, no one had this hotfix dev. They just said it is not possible. Provisioning SAP systems is not easy. We don't have a dedicated environment for hotfix. Now tell me. That was the first question that they asked. Then second, nobody had a dedicated pre-prod for hotfix testing. They said, nothing doing. We don't have this environment. Now you tell me. In my pre-prod, I have 3 releases already there. I have a one geo release already in pre-prod. Another geo release is coming next week. There is a BAU release that is already here in pre-prod. We already screwed my pre-prod. But I don't have another environment. Now tell me, how do you want to release your hotfix? This is where we talk on the ground. These are challenges that deviate. This is a very ideal slide, but this is not what it is when we actually sit with the customers. So that is where this is very handy, maybe a little bit technical, but something that has worked in a situation where you have shared environments, whether it is for BAU or whether it is for hotfix. You have a shared environment, one box, for your maintenance releases and hotfix, and you don't have a dedicated test environment for hotfix. This model has worked. So the way we recommend is, if you have to give a hotfix, switch your BAU dev to hotfix. What does it mean? See, first you create a hotfix branch from your main. That means it is equal to production. Now switch your BAU dev to hotfix. That means your BAU dev, whatever may be your local commits, they are all preserved in Git. But system changes its state. It becomes equal to production. Now let them develop the changes. Now switch your pre-prod to hotfix. Pre-prod commits are all preserved in your pre-prod branch. Your pre-prod system changes into production. Test your hotfix here. And if it is all good, then push into master. Deploy into production. After you deploy, now you have to change back your system states. That means you switch back your hotfix to pre-prod. That means again your pre-prod system becomes a pre-prod, actual pre-prod system. Then you push your change back into the BAU development branch and switch your hotfix into BAU development again. So your BAU development again becomes the actual system. So what we did here using Git, is to be able to isolate your systems without having additional systems. That will give you a lot of savings in terms of procuring, in terms of provisioning SAP boxes and configuring them. Using this model, using the switch effectively, using gCTS effectively, you can change one system state to another system state without a lot of effort. So that is where this model is very handy if you are trying to implement gCTS and you do not have enough environments for isolation. Okay, what is the challenge that we have got here? This looks very possible and this actually worked when we implemented. Then we have got another challenge. The switch operation in SAP was taking 4 hours time. So while we advocated all this, but if they want to change this development box into Hotfix, it was taking 4 hours for the switch. Now they were asking, what are my SLAs? I have to deliver a P0 incident in 2 hours. That is my SLA. If you take for the switch operation itself, if you take 4 hours, then it won't work for us. We will not be able to meet our SLAs for hotfix delivery. So then we worked with SAP. They did some magic. They brought it down to 1 hour for the switch. But there is also another option which we explored was the rollback. So we were actually rolling back BAU dev into when the production deployment was done. So that was much faster. So yeah, so this is how you can actually visualize if you want to try out Git. See, CTS, if you have seen, there are no major upgrades. At least I have not seen major upgrade, and in the Open SAP and SAP Learning Academies, they are mentioning CTS may not have further upgrades. And with the kind of complexity that systems are evolving, you need to get used to Git. And that is why exploring gCTS with a model like this, you will be able to do an assessment, whether it will work for me. So this is a summary of challenges that we have got. One I mentioned about the branch limitation that we have. Because the system is tied to branch, it is not flexible to maintain feature branches. Second is downgrade protection. gCTS do not have native downgrade protection because it is a Git pull. You are not doing a transport import. You are doing a Git deploy. You are doing a Git pull. So you cannot have downgrade protection. So before you do the Git pull, you have to write a OData service to check the versions of the transports. Then syntax validation, if somebody directly goes and makes the changes in Git, it is very hard for you to verify whether that change is working or that change is not working. Because in Git, you don't have the capability to validate syntax for your SAP. Cherry picking, sometimes, see, cherry picking is that is the only way that gCTS can work. But cherry picking, you need to be careful in maintaining dependencies and ensure that all the commits are correctly brought in when you are merging and deploying. And last is the user and team. We have found a minor issue with respect to synchronizing teams between ABAP systems and gCTS as the user IDs change a little bit. So these are some of the challenges that we have seen when implementing gCTS. I will just show in ReleaseOwl how this pipeline looks like. If I have to present another screen. I need to share another screen. Oh, yeah. So probably I take a few minutes to just show how it is actually set up. In ReleaseOwl, we can do this end-to-end, completely automated. If any of you want to explore gCTS, we have built in ReleaseOwl completely automated way of doing it. these are the user stories which are from your Jira, Azure DevOps, ServiceNow Agile, wherever. And if you look at the release pipeline that we have created here, this is the gCTS pipeline. I will just walk you through. So in ReleaseOwl works on the principle of release pipelines, wherein you can pretty much define your change and release management process across your systems. For example, here I have QA and prod. In QA, I want an approval process, and then I want to have a deployment. Then I want to have a test evidence report submitted. And after that, I want to update my Jira status. Similarly, once it is all done, then in production, I have to raise a ServiceNow ticket automatically with all this context. And once the ServiceNow request is approved, then we want to do a production deployment, git pull. After that, I want to initiate a merge task to pull whatever is in production to give to various systems as a back merge, and then update my user stories. So this is a very flexible framework that you can, whether you want to call external systems, whether you want to initiate DocuSigns, whether you want to initiate TOC imports in general, or you want to release transports. ReleaseOwl pipelines actually is designed for all editions of SAP, transport, gCTS, BTP, CPI, SAC, DataSphere. It is all pretty much covered. So bottom line, the reason I'm showing this is coming from DevOps, coming from Git. If you want to experience gCTS for your projects, we can work together, we can collaborate. Even if it's a thought leadership, that we share knowledge in terms of branching models and all that, somebody like me will be available just from thought leadership side to help you implement gCTS in your projects. And one last thing that I would like to show before I wrap up is if you have a conflict, whether it is whatever may be the conflict size, if you have a conflict, then you can pretty much see the conflict here. When you are merging, if you get a conflict, you can see the conflicts left-hand side, right-hand side, and you can resolve. So again, this is the knowledge session, so I don't want to take too much into the product. So I'm coming to my last slide. So as a summary, this is what I just want to restress again. With gCTS, it is about version control meeting SAP. And you can establish a true continuous delivery using gCTS. And with the OData REST APIs, you can pretty much design a comprehensive. See, you have Piper. Piper also has a lot of gCTS operations. If you use Piper, you have understanding of Piper, you can set up using Piper as well. Yeah, I talked about challenges. Yes, these are challenges, but I strongly believe that if you have multiple systems, let's say, for example, your UAT can happen only if two systems merge, or you have two parallel landscapes that have to go live together. You have tried transport management solvents for a while now, and we have seen those challenges when implementing such complex go-lives. You explore gCTS once, and definitely it will give you a much better experience as well. So on this note, it has been a 16-hour journey for me to be here to spend time with you all. Thank you for bearing 30 minutes with me, and thank you to the organizers and all those experts who have come here. Thank you.